Welcome back to Link by Golf. I'm your host Ross McGuire. In this episode, I'm joined by Mike Harris, founder of The Loop and former editor of Golf Monthly. Mike has been at the centre of golf media for years, and his insight into how the game is evolving is second to none. We talk about creators like Rick Shiels, Peter Finch and Mark Crossfield, how they've reshaped the way that golf is covered, and why audiences are now connecting more with relatable influencers than traditional outlets, and also how brands are adapting to this new media landscape. Mike also shares the story behind launching The Loop and why collaboration between creators and traditional media is the future of golf storytelling. This episode is brought to you by TrueLinks Wear. Head over to truelinkswear.uk to check out the latest range of shoes and apparel and support the brands that support the pod. This is a conversation about influence, innovation, and the changing face of golf media. Let's go over to Mike. Delighted to be joined by Mike Harris. Mike, thanks for joining the podcast. Great to see you.
Well, thanks for having us on.
No problem. And Mike, we're going to jump straight in. So you're influential in the media space for golf, but I'd love to hear what your thoughts are about creators in golf and influencers in the game and where you see it all going in the next few months.
That's a really good question. I think that creators, influencers, non-traditional media, however you want to term that sort of area of content production, I think it's a really exciting space. I think that they have totally changed the way that big media, so where I've come from in my previous career, how big media thinks about content creation. I think they have totally changed how brands think about opportunities to go to market, how they use time with their ambassadors, where they spend their advertising and marketing dollars. And I think for the audience, most excitingly, it's given them really relatable figures to be able to follow and engage with, people who are more like them. And I think that's really important. I think that's why you have such a strong connection between creators and their community, and why it's a really exciting space, I think, for everybody involved in content creation. I remember Golf Monthly when I was editor, and guys like Rick Shiels, Peter Finch came onto the stage, Mark Crossfield. I think a lot of traditional media worried about, what those guys were doing, that they were sort of producing really exciting content, started to take opportunities, and then eventually advertising money or marketing money. And my view was very much, well, how can we learn from these guys? How can we collaborate with them? And I think that really started me on my journey to probably where I am now, where I just think it's a really exciting space to be in. One of the reasons that I guess prompted my colleagues and I to set up The Loop, really.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'll just briefly touch on the influencer part there. Peter Finch the other day, I was looking online, and I'm not joking, there was more excitement about Peter Finch playing at Dundonald than guys like Lee Westwood. I'm like, wow, this is incredible. People are taking more interest in his score than, a former world number one. I thought it was fascinating.
Absolutely. And I think, I know Pete really well. I think it's such a hard job being a content creator, because, and often say that to guys like Pete and Rick, that sure, they now have big teams working with them on, producing the video, editing it, distributing it, looking after their business affairs. But those guys, it's on them every time they stand in front of the camera. There's no sort of backup. When I was at Golf Monthly, had an amazing team of people who were way better journalists than me, that I could go, okay, well, it's your turn to write a feature or be on a video. For those guys, they've got to be front and center all the time. They can't really afford to have an off day. And when you add in the fact that, Pete was playing in final qualifying, had got through regional qualifying, and I know, I think he set a pretty heavy task for himself. Obviously, him and Rick were doing Quest for the Open for a number of years, and I think the pressure of trying to perform on a stage where you've got big expectation, plus be as those guys were, teaching pros at the time, plus content creators, it was amazing to see how Pete did. I watched his sort of post-round reaction video. I know he was really disappointed, and I think that he didn't make it through to the Open. I think that just shows, how hard he's been working at his game alongside producing some amazing content. So yeah, and undoubtedly those guys draw the crowds. I mean, I've been to, whether it's been to the Open or been to golf trade shows or consumer shows, and to see the number of fans who come up and want to have a selfie with the guys or just want to say hello, and definitely, I would say someone like Rick Shiels, would be in the top 10 most recognizable pros in golf, after guys like Tiger and Rory and Scotty Scheffler. Rick would be up there in terms of being a recognizable face. I think the fact he's so relatable, and as all the content creators are, professional golf is in an interesting place at the moment. I think that a lot of players, detach themselves from their fans, from the media. I'm one of Rory's biggest fans, but been really disappointed recently that he hasn't chosen to engage with the media post round and sort of said, well, it's not not really my job. Well, it is part of the job for sure, and I think that the more things like that happen, the more that professional players become distant from their fan base, the more that opportunity that gives creators to engage with with golfers and golf fans.
Yeah, I think the golf space really blown up. I know there's obviously creators and influencers and stuff in lots of other sports, but I think golf is getting a light kind of shone on it at the moment because of that changing landscape with the players themselves. And golf's going through that explosion of money coming into the game, but money doesn't necessarily mean interest from fans. Fans aren't interested that somebody's playing for 20 million this week. They're interested in what are you scoring, what are you wearing, what clubs are you using, and then how did it actually go? How are you as a person when you're out there?
I completely agree, and actually, I think the level of money that's in professional golf is turning off a lot of fans. Those figures were made, obviously made public each week in what the prize money is. But I think when, Liv came onto the scene and you saw some of the numbers being, quoted for guys to sign with Liv, I just think it made professional golf seem a very, very long way away from the game that 99% of people who play the game love, rocking up 4-ball, groups of friends, play on your own, whatever, where you're playing for the love of the game, not for millions of dollars. And I think it's interesting when you look in the creator space. I actually think when I chat to the creators that that we represent, that their audience, but vast majority of them are delighted that they're making great careers out of it.
Yeah,
they're making good money. I think it's like a good on you, and the audience knows that creators sort of making money allows them to make better content, sort of invest in better camera equipment, more videographers, more editors, and that's when it becomes, listen, when you sat there on a Saturday night or a Sunday night and go, do I want to watch an hour of PGA Tour coverage, which is going to be full of ad breaks, lots of chit chat, not particularly relatable, or do you want to watch an hour of Rick or Pete or James Robinson, or do you want to watch an hour of Good or Dan Grieve teaching you how to improve your short game? It becomes, okay, well, actually, do you know what, I'm going to spend an hour on something that I really like and I'm really invested in, rather than a tour event where it may not be a great field, or somebody might be a runaway winner and it's a foregone conclusion. And I think all these things are why that creator space is so exciting in golf. And I think it, unlike in other sports where there isn't a handicapping system or different tees, that genuinely you can play, people of all abilities, female golfers, male golfers, younger golfers, older golfers, able-bodied golfers with disabilities can play together. And I think that level playing field is, again, one of the great appeals, of it. And, I think when you see, a creator hit a bad golf shot, it's like, okay, that makes them even more relatable. I remember, again, I think it was Rick saying to me that, he did something with the good guys, and it was one of the early events that was streamed.
Right.
And the editors were taking out, sort of duff shots. It was when Rick wasn't playing amazing golf. And Rick actually said to him after, do you know what, me duffing a wedge or not hitting a great drive, that's what, makes my content authentic. Leave it in.
Yeah, absolutely. That is more relatable when it's real.
Yeah, absolutely. But no, say creator space, really exciting. I think it is taking golf to a new market as well. People who, were getting into golf, maybe it's that, that sort of COVID, sort of boom, that they didn't have, years, decades of following, DP World Tour, PGA Tour, LET. They didn't have established role models and, sort of heroes. And I think the content creators have become their role models and their heroes.
Absolutely. And then, Mike, we jump straight into what's going on today. How did you get into the game? What was it that got you into golf?
Well, it's really interesting. I actually didn't start playing golf until in my late teenage years, maybe 15 or 16. I'd always played team sports, football, rugby, cricket.
Right.
And just, I think it was my uncle who was, like a real sort of hero of mine. He was really into golf. Must have gone and stayed with him, and he said, "Oh, let's go to the range." And it's like, okay, gave me a club, and I was lucky that sort of picked it up, and obviously played a lot of ball sports, cricket in particular, hand-eye coordination, and it didn't feel alien to me. Hit a few good shots, and he was a guy who had lessons from the great Henry Cotton, so was a really good golfer. He played county golf, and he obviously thought, okay, my nephew's can swing a golf club, and he was really encouraging, to me. He bought my first set of clubs, set of Wilson staffs, and just encouraged me to practice and play as much as possible. I think my first ever round was, I know exactly where it was. It was at Broome Manor Golf Club near Swindon, which is where home club of David Howell. And it's a muni, but a really great muni just outside of Swindon. I went with some schoolmates. First ever shot, stone cold top with a 5-iron.
Nice way to start.
Next shot, absolutely striped, same 5-iron again, absolutely striped it. And I thought, oh, this is great. I think I've still got the card from that round, and I want to say it's something like, I think I shot 118. But I loved every minute of it, and that was it. I was hooked. It's like, this is really good fun. And that got me going on golf. Really got the bug. When I went away to uni, again, played football really seriously, but got to know some guys who played golf, and they were really lucky. The university golf team at Liverpool got to play at Royal Liverpool at Hoylake. So I managed to sort of, blag my way onto the squad, got to play with some really good golfers on an amazing golf course, and my handicap really quickly came down in that period when I was at uni, and that was it. I sort of, totally in love with golf from that point. I actually started off in media as a football writer.
I was going to ask you about that. So what about your experience? You got into media through football. Tell me about that.
So when I was I went to Liverpool University, not because I particularly had my eyes set on a particular degree, but because I'm a big Everton fan. So I wanted to go and watch Everton. Having grown up in Oxford, it's sort of, fantastic. Go and live in Liverpool, can go and watch the games. So I started writing for one of the Everton fanzines when Sky's Great. Really got into that. Just loved, writing. And from, after uni, managed to get some work experience on a couple of different football mags, managed to get an internship in a magazine called Goal, which was an absolutely brilliant football monthly, staffed by some amazing journalists, a lot of them, really crucial in my career development. And I probably did football writing for maybe 5 or 6 years. And then moved from there into men's and women's lifestyle. So I used to write for the likes of Men's Health and New Woman. And, again, it taught you to, write about different things. I always thought I wanted to be a football writer, but, having to write about things that are not your primary passion, but that teaches you to be a better journalist. Then I was very lucky in 2003 to get a break at a golf magazine, Golf Monthly at the time. Their publishers were launching a new golf title called Total Golf. It was launched as I guess a rival to, or attempted rival to Golf Punk, if you remember back at Golf Punk, which was again amazing magazine set up by guys who I knew before that. And I think that changed, in the way that creators have changed the media landscape. Golf Punk really changed the golf media landscape. It sort of raised a few eyebrows, but by pushing the boundaries, they started to look at content in a different way. And I think anybody who was in golf media at that time can't have helped but be influenced by what Golf Punk did in terms of the attitude, the style they brought to golf, different writers that they used, different photographers. Did Total Golf for maybe 18 months and then moved over to Golf Monthly and had, nearly 20 very happy years there.
And Golf Monthly, a massive magazine publication around for many, many years. So what did it feel like making that jump into such a well-known brand?
It was absolutely amazing. I mean, Golf Monthly was founded in 1911. It's the oldest golf title still in production. Golf Illustrated predated it, but Golf Illustrated was closing. I can't remember. I think it was in the early 2000s. Sadly, that was a great title. It was very focused on what was happening week to week, and I think the internet just sort of made it a bit obsolete, unfortunately. But Golf Monthly, incredible. I was only the 8th editor of Golf Monthly in those 100 years. First ever editor, a guy called Harold Hilton, also a Royal Liverpool guy. I'm very lucky. I'm a member up at Royal Liverpool. The key difference is that Harold Hilton won 4 amateur championships, 2 open championships, and was at the same time winning majors plus launching a golf magazine. I could just about get out a monthly magazine and get the website going.
I'm sure he did okay. But then Golf Monthly would have gone through a major pivot as well. I mean, I've got a bit of a background in digital media. So what was it like seeing the changes from traditional print moving into digital as well? What was that move like?
It was an exciting time. I was, I guess I'd just taken over as editor in 2006. And probably at that point, we just about got a website going. In the previous years, the website amounted to 1 page, which was basically a static page promoting subscriptions. I'd done a bit of work in digital media around football a few years before, so saw the opportunity there and was really keen to put Golf Monthly forward for development time, for investment. And we started off doing news, taking articles from magazine, putting them online. Remember going to the 2006 Open, which was a Royal Liverpool year that Tiger won, and we did a blog, which was effectively just 1 article page, just kept on updating it for the whole tournament week. Then went to the Ryder Cup out at the K Club, did the same there.
And did you see did the engagement levels change with that change of approach?
Yeah, I think it was slow at the start because the technology wasn't amazing. If you look at how websites have evolved since 2005, it's night and day. Whereas you look at print just didn't have that ability to evolve in the way that digital media did. And I think it gave us many more ways to produce content. Golf Monthly, I think, was the first golf media to have a YouTube channel. We were really early into social as well. And if you go back and look at some of the first videos on the Golf Monthly YouTube channel, they're absolutely brilliant. They're hysterical. But what was amazing was that with the commercial director, we managed to convince Nike, who were obviously big into golf at the time, to sponsor the YouTube channel before we'd even made a video. And I think that just gave us some insight into
Wow.
where brands, they wanted to be doing exciting things. And whilst we could innovate, to a degree in print, it was much easier to innovate in digital.
I'd like to thank Oliver Wilson and True Linkswear UK for sponsoring the show. Let's hear from Ollie now.
The OG3 Pro is the natural evolution of the OG range. We have a wide toe box that allows your foot to work naturally and your toes display. We have a cushioned zero drop platform. It's flexible, minimalist to allow you to feel the ground. It's waterproof and an aggressive spikeless outsole. And of course, it's tour tested.
You were able to give content to your audience whenever they wanted it, and increasingly wherever they wanted it. So whether it was on social, whether it was on website, whether it was on YouTube, podcast, again, Golf Monthly, pretty early into trying them in the podcast space. And yeah, it just became a really exciting way to complement what we were doing in print. We tried to never double up. It was never as simple as just take everything from the website, put it in the mag, or everything from the mag, put it on the website.
I think that was kind of like I think that most publishers initially, that was the view. They would just put everything, in the same, almost the same way as well, same structure in the two places, and it had to be different.
It doesn't work. Yeah, it doesn't work. I think particularly, where magazines, will always win is in that really luxury. And I love print. That's why, print will be a part of what the Loop does going forward. I love that luxurious print experience of, getting a new magazine through it. It smells like nothing else. And then you can really immerse yourself, long reads, great photography. And that just doesn't translate particularly to a mobile phone. I think, you can have a long read probably on desktop, and you can see great images on desktop. On a mobile device, really, it's about, short and sharp.
Yeah,
it was really interesting. We did a lot of reader research, and digital media started to really impact on how people consume print media. People who were like long time subscribers would say, I feel my attention span's much less, that I now dip in and out of features. I just flick through the magazine in the way I'd almost scroll through social, and it's really got to catch my eye to make me stop and want to read. I don't think that's the same for everybody. I don't think that's, as print becomes more luxurious and digital becomes faster paced, then I think, you do gravitate towards one type of content depending on what it is, you want from it. I think if you want video, you're obviously gonna, go for digital. But if you want those longer, more immersive reads, if you want amazing photography, if you want great design, then print offers that. And it's great to see that, print is very much alive and kicking. It's great. I still subscribe to a number of different magazines each month. I love them coming through, and it's just a nice change, contrast to to digital media.
Yeah, and you mentioned the Loop there, so I'd love you to fill the listeners in on what the Loop is and how it came about and where you're taking that brand as well.
Yeah, it's interesting. I think it always seen my career between golf and media, but as and that was why the role at Golf Monthly was amazing. Got to do, if you like, be a golf fan and immerse myself in golf and get paid for it. And then also, my whole career has been about content creation, about journalism. But I think probably, got to the point where my role at Futur, which was Golf Monthly's parent company, I was content director. I'd sort of handed over to Neil, who was my very patient number two for 17 years. He took over as editor in 2003. I think my job became more management focused. I did a lot of looking at spreadsheets, and I didn't have that day-to-day creativity that I probably really yearned. Because you can't manage. And I was looking after Golf Monthly, 442 and Rugby World. you can't be trying to, report on the P&L for those brands and at the same time be, writing a feature or doing social media or going out presenting a video. So it's sort of, I felt like I've sort of lost that creative element to my job that sort of was the stuff that really excited me. I'd kept in touch with two guys who used to work with me at Golf Monthly. They'd gone off to do other things. And I think just went for a round of golf with one of them who actually was a client of ours. It was Paula Hagen, who was head of marketing at FootJoy. And we were just chit-chatting and we said, have you seen this? What do you think about that? And we just, we're always sort of really into collaboration. We love digital media, really interested in the creator space. Obviously knew, what it took to be, a good agency, and that's effectively what the Loop is. It's an agency. It's PR, marketing, comms, content for brands, destinations, and content creators. But then also we really wanted to produce our own content as well, because sometimes when you're working for a client, you obviously have to produce content that completely fits with their brand, which fits with their area of business, with their brand values. But I feel like there's always stuff that we want to, we'd always chat about doing things a bit differently. So that we'll get to play in that space with a quarterly journal. We'll be launching the first issue later this year. The Loop social media is completely consumer facing. It's not about what we do as an agency. It's just great golf imagery. And I think down the line as well, our vision is to put on events as well that help bring content to life. So yeah, it's a sort of 360 agency. Very lucky that between the four of us as the partners, we've come from the different areas of media and marketing. We're all content creators to start with, but then I've got agency experience, brand side with Paul and Chris Barrett, who's our amazing creative director, who's also come from FootJoy, and then Alex Neri, who's come from an agency as well. So we know it from all of the sides, and we feel, if you like, our point of difference or our USP is the depth of experience we have when it comes to creating content, because it's where we started our careers. It's where all of my career has been up until December last year when I started. Day one of the Loop was December the 1st, 2024, and it's very different agency life to big media life, and it's not been without its sort of bumps in the road for me, getting used to not having like a really big team of amazing content creators to be able to delegate stuff to. I have to delegate stuff to myself. Yeah. As I've produced less and less content over the years, I've become slower and slower at writing and editing, and so yeah, I'm sort of getting back up to speed with getting into the nitty gritty. But I've just spent this morning creating a lot of social media content for one of our clients, for Futur, the golf shaft brand, and I'm absolutely loving being back in the weeds, doing Instagram stories, writing captions for social posts, looking at content. We just did a big shoot up at Dumbarnie, amazing golf course just outside of St Andrews, another one of our clients. I've been going through literally thousands of images and video clips that we collated, and looking at how we're going to feed those into Dumbarnie's social channels. But again, just it's back in the weeds of picture selection, suggesting video edits to one of our freelance video editors, and absolutely love it. And then what else have I been doing today? That's, I guess, looking at a press release for Under Armour, again, one of our other clients. There's a proposal we just sent out this morning to a golf resort in the UK that we're pitching for some business for. Was on a call last night with the guys from Futur, who are based over in Carlsbad in California. So obviously there's that 8-hour time difference. So yeah, it's it's exciting times. There's a lot of plate spinning going on, but I'm really enjoying, as I know the other three guys are, being right back at the coal face.
Absolutely, and I'd love you to talk about the origins of the name as well, Mike. Where did the loop come from?
So it was funny. I'd always thought that if I ever went and set up my own business, and from time to time at Golf Monthly, you know, and it probably was a function of went through some difficult times where, as editor, I was responsible for, having to look at headcount reductions, at budget reductions when, media was under real pressure, I guess, from, the 2008 crash through, 2010 through to 2020. Those are pretty tough times in media. And you sort of lose your mojo for it. I sort of felt like my job was a lot of managing costs, and and I thought, actually, if I always had this idea to set up my own company, and always loved the name The Loop, and it's taken from those holes at the end of the old course, 7 through 11 on the old course, where those holes crisscross. You let whoever has the right of way plays. If you could be a 4-ball coming up 7 with 4 caddies, and there could be 4-ball coming over and playing that wonderful par 3 11th, and you're sort of it's like, who's got right of way to play, and it's that sort of melting pot. It's where everyone comes together. You sort of, if people in the groups ahead or behind, you might ask them, how are you getting on, how's it, how's the loop playing. It's really, they're fun holes. They're my favorite. It's my favorite holes on the golf course. Number 11 is my favorite par 3 in the world. I love number 7 as well. And then you've got
11's probably one of the toughest par 3s you could try and play as well.
Absolutely. I'm always pretty pleased if I walk off there with a bogey, I have to say.
Yeah.
And then you've got 9 and 10, which are 2, depending on the wind direction, drivable par 4s. They're a really exciting bit, and it's where everyone comes together. You've got the little halfway hut you can stop in for a pie and something to drink, and it's all about and obviously the links at St Andrews, famous golfing ground, but it remains effectively the golfing links of the town of St Andrews. It's not a private members club. You look at the different clubs who play over those over the links at St Andrews. You look at the visitors from all over the world, and it's sort of it's not called the home of golf for no reason. And it's just this magical place, and the sort of coming together very much sort of fitted in again with our vision for Golf Connected, that we want to try and play that part and be in the mix at an exciting time for golf. So I guess that's a long-winded way of telling you why the loop's called The Loop, named after, say, those famous holes at the end of the old course. But just it's about bringing things together, and about trying to be part of a movement that is taking the sport forward, the game forward, and want to be part of a really positive period in the game's history, and want to do our bit. It sounds a bit utopian, but I think the 4 of us all love golf. We love what it's what it stands for. It's given us great friendships. So you're lucky it's given us all a career as well. And I think we just want to be part of that movement that's spreading the good word about the game, that's encouraging I guess people to look at golf and go, do you know what? Golf looks fun, looks cool. People like me are playing golf. It's not just, and I can say it because, I am a middle-class, middle-aged white guy. It's not, golf isn't just for people like me. It's for everyone, regardless of whether you're black or white, male or female, able-bodied, or a golfer with a disability, young or old. That's the amazing thing about golf. You can play, as soon as you swing a golf club until you fall off your perch, you can play the game. And I don't think there is a sport that offers that level of potential inclusivity. And I think the game has done a lot to become more inclusive. I think it can do more.
Absolutely.
I'd like to be part of, as I say, that movement, which is trying to make the game more exciting, more inclusive. And I think it goes back to the thing of, golf doesn't just have to be an 18-hole round of golf with a card in your hand. In fact, a lot of people would say you put a card in your hand, golf doesn't become very enjoyable. I think if you are holding a golf club and hitting a golf ball, and whether that's at a range, at an indoor, putting facility, I think if you're doing it, in the world of VR or gaming, I think you are playing golf. And I think that, the more people who have an interaction with the game and whatever, it will be just being a fan, then, golf will become, a richer version of itself already. And people will get those amazing, physical and mental health benefits that anybody who plays golf will know that it's not, very rarely is it about the score on your scorecard. It's about the people you've played with, where you've played, and the benefits. It's got you out of the house. It's given you some physical exercise. It's given you that potential to have 3-4 hours without having to look at your computer or look at your phone. If you're playing outdoors, being in nature. And as I say, just, we all of us at the Loop, really are passionate about getting more people engaged with the game of golf.
Yeah, and I mean, I reflect back there, you've just talked about St Andrews and you're talking about what gets people into the game. And it was Seve winning at St Andrews that got me into it. And I've talked about that experience with friends, talked about it on here in the podcast. I didn't look at Seve and think, I can't do that. And I don't mean get to the Open and play St Andrews. I just mean, I can, as it was, I went and borrowed a golf club from my brother's bag. I wasn't thinking that I was going to be stuck and not able to play just because of where I lived or, what my family's income was. I just thought, there's a golf club, there's a ball, I'm going to go and hit it. And it's such a good game for bringing people together. As you say, you've got the handicap system. That means that anyone can play together, and that levels it up. You've got different tees that people can play from. So it really is a pretty inclusive sport in terms of being able to play. It's just trying to get people who are around the game to have that mindset as well. I think if we can change that and continue to change it, it will definitely bring even more people to the game.
Definitely. And I think, cost is a factor, time is a factor as well. And that's why I think it's really important to have those shorter forms of golf, fun formats of golf, that don't necessarily require you to go out and play 9 or 18 holes on a full length golf course. It's funny, I was up at St Andrews just a couple of weeks ago doing some filming up there, and the Himalayas putting green was absolutely mobbed with
you can never get on there.
Kids.
It's so busy.
It was amazing, great to see. And that, that for me, that's as much golf as people who were playing. Funny, I know the R&A had their monthly medal on the new course, which is always a difficult test of golf. People playing off the back tees there. I believe the people who were playing on the Himalayas were, they were as much playing the game of golf as the R&A members who were playing the July monthly medal, or June monthly medal around the new on the same day,
and maybe having a better time.
Well, quite possibly. Say, when you haven't got a card in your hand, golf becomes an awful lot more fun.
Absolutely. So, Mike, what about your favourite golf course? What's your favourite place to play?
That's a great question. Great question, Ross. I would say I find it very difficult to split it between my favourite inland course and my favourite links course. My favourite links course would be Royal Dornoch, which I just think is a magical place. It's a fantastic golf course, an amazing town. It's a sort of mini St Andrews, and I do love the old course. And the old course would be a pretty close second to Royal Dornoch. But there is, I remember, it's funny, if it's Paul, one of my business partners, used to go up and play in the Shield. He's a very good golfer. For many years, went up from Worcestershire, where he was, he sort of grew up, and used to talk to us. We worked together at Golf Monthly. He said, "You've got to go to Dornoch. It's this incredible place." And he just went on and on and on about it. And like, Paul's 15 years younger than me, and it's like, okay, all right, Paul, just calm down. And we managed to engineer a trip up there. And when we played the first round, we were playing a round on the championship course, round on the Struy, walked off the championship course, and I turned to him and I went, "That was even better than you've been billing it." And we went in. I went and saw Neil, the secretary, and said, "Can we actually go out and have another round on the championship course?" It was so good, and every time I've been back, I've enjoyed it a little bit more. Sometimes I play well, sometimes I don't play so well. It's a difficult golf course, but I love Dornoch, it's my favourite links, and then probably Sunningdale would be my favourite inland course. Love the new and the old. If I'm playing well, the new I'd probably play there. Better test of your game, but the old is just the most charming golf course in it, and together as a 36-hole day, it's fantastic. I've been very lucky to play quite a lot of courses outside the UK and Ireland. Love Pebble Beach, that was amazing. Montfontaine in France, absolutely love that. But for me, golf will always, probably come, back to my real love is, it's golf in the UK and Ireland. I love links golf. Some amazing courses in Wales, amazing courses in Ireland. And if you never ever played golf outside of the UK and Ireland, I don't think you'd ever get bored. But yeah, there's places like Australia I'd love to go to, New Zealand, South America. But Dornoch and Sunningdale, very, very long-winded way as ever of me giving an answer.
Fantastic. So, Mike, just wrapping up here, what's next for you in the Loop?
Well, I can't believe we are only 6 months or 7 months into the new business. We're lucky we've won quite a few, we got a really exciting portfolio of clients, in different areas, from say obviously Under Armour in apparel, footwear, Futur as shafts, Dumbani as a golf course. We have a little golf art business called Mimo that we represent, Condor Kids, which is a fantastic subscription service for juniors getting into the game, and then our parent company called PRG, who make accessories. So it's everything from head covers to ball markers to bag towels to valuable pouches. They're the world's leading golf accessory company. We work with them, helping them on their content, on their marketing. So we're pretty busy, but we've got a lot of pitches out there, some really exciting things that if we get the green light to go ahead on, I think we would, we always had a bit of a vision for the business to be not just based in the UK, even though the four of us live in the UK. We'd like to do more work in the States. There are, golf is just huge in the States, maybe, 10 times the number of people play in the States that do over in Europe. It's a very different market as well. It's interesting to see, it's the same sport, but it is very different from the UK out to the States. Totally I really like, particularly, California, where PRG are based and where we have the Loop has its head offices as well in Carlsbad. Go to California and it's very laid back. Playing, a pair of trainers and a t-shirt and shorts, and playing a five ball, and
nobody cares.
Being a buggy with a couple of beers and some music on, and again, I wouldn't want to do that every day, just as I wouldn't want to play medal golf every day. Exactly. But I like how America, it's a lot of it is about the experience, and I think as a business, we want to really help amp up the experience and the excitement around golf. I think as a marketing company, you've got to help the brands you work with be really exciting. Try and humanize their products, make them desirable, aspirational. And I think you do that by creating exciting content and getting golfers excited about a golf shaft or a new pair of shoes, or playing a new golf course, or a bit of golf artwork, or buying a new head cover, as a memento of having been to play a particular golf course. You've got to, we're lucky with golf. There's so many exciting things about the sport, so many ways to spend your money, that our job is to help our clients be exciting, tell exciting stories. I think that phrase storytelling, it's sort of it really sums up. There is a story behind every product, behind every destination. And I think, it's so exciting, that potential to work with our clients on that storytelling and, getting their products, their destinations, their services in front of, the golf audience.
Absolutely. So, Mike, where can people follow you in the Loop? How can they get in touch?
So at the moment, best place for the Loop is our Instagram, which is at the Loop Golf Connected. That page is, as I say, it's great golf imagery at the moment. You can follow me personally on Instagram. I'm at MickeyH_1970, and then LinkedIn as well. We post a lot on LinkedIn, trying to share our thoughts around some of the work we're doing. And then later this year, we'll be publishing first issue of our journal as well. So we have a website as well, theloopgc.com, which tells you a little bit more about who we are and what we do. So yeah, it's exciting. I love social media. Was always into it really early, and to have it as part of my job is it is great, and it's just that chance to be part of a community and engage in stuff you love, whether it's golf or football or music or cooking or whatever it is. I think you can find your passion online.
Absolutely. So, Mike, I appreciate you coming on. Thanks for joining, and all the best for this year.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having us on.
That's it for this episode of Link by Golf. A huge thanks to Mike Harris for sharing his journey from traditional golf media to founding The Loop, and for his insights into how creators like Rick Shiels, Peter Finch and Mark Crossfield are shaping the future of the game. It's a reminder that golf isn't just about what happens on the course, it's also about the stories, communities and connections that bring us closer to the sport we love. If you enjoyed this conversation, make sure you follow Link by Golf wherever you get your podcasts, so you never miss an episode. Until next time, I'm Ross McGuire. Thanks for listening.
Lomond Golf Tours have helped thousands of guests build bespoke golf trips to create a magical experience. Travel in style with our executive chauffeur travel, whether it's golf on a major championship venue or one of our hidden gems, 5-star accommodation or a boutique bed and breakfast, or is it whiskey tasting on a private boat? Lomond Golf Tours are here to help build the tour of a lifetime. Whether you're celebrating a special occasion or ticking it off your bucket list, embark on a trip that you'll remember forever. To learn more about our offerings for 2025 and beyond, visit www.lomondgolftours.com.